an action plan to minimize border delay. The Premier and Governor created the Joint Transportation Executive Council, chaired by Minister Bond and Secretary Hammond, to address cross-border transportation challenges. Our agencies are pursuing 6 initiatives to improve efficiency and reduce border delay. This presentation will highlight several immediate and longer-term action items for the Executive Council. But first, an orientation to the Cascade Gateway. The Cascade Gateway is composed of 4 border crossings, connected by Washington and British Columbia managed highways. The Peace Arch crossing is open to passenger vehicles only, while the other 3 crossings also accommodate trucks. Transportation agencies are responsible for the highways that get vehicles, passengers, and freight to the border crossings. U.S. and Canadian border inspection agencies secure the border and get vehicles, passengers, and freight through the crossings and onto their destinations. Although the transportation and inspection agencies have different responsibilities, they share the goal of minimizing delay. With this goal in mind, the Executive Council is working on 6 initiatives that will save time, save money, facilitate trade, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The Aldergrove Linden Port of Entry is the second busiest commercial crossing in the Cascade Gateway. In 2008, this vital port processed $496 million in Washington exports and $38 million in British Columbia exports. Canadian truck inspection infrastructure at this crossing is very limited, and CBSA has stated that without improvements, the port cannot securely handle northbound commercial vehicles. Currently, CBSA has implemented an interim permit process. A recent report by the International Mobility and Trade Corridor Project, IMTC, a U.S.-Canadian coalition of businesses and government, estimates that closure to freight would result in 120,000 more miles traveled per month and 3.85 kilotons of additional greenhouse emissions. British Columbia and Washington are advocating that CBSA maintain the Aldergrove Port of Entry as a full-service commercial crossing. In the longer term, the Executive Council supports continued work by inspection agencies to support full-service truck inspection. The Advanced Traveler Information System, ATIS, uses state-of-the-art communications technology to provide real-time traffic data on changeable electronic message signs along the highway and on the internet. This web-based traffic information can be accessed by travelers on cell phones and other handheld devices. This information lets drivers choose among the border crossings, saving time and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Balancing the demand at the crossings also helps inspection agencies staff the border appropriately. While BC and Washington already provide a robust traveler information system, upcoming projects will further improve reliability while connecting the border to the larger state and provincial highway system. A project is under development to expand ATIS to southbound highways 13 and 11, thereby covering all Cascade Gateway ports of entry. Washington will improve the northbound ATIS on I-5 with funding from the Federal Coordinated Border Infrastructure Program to improve the accuracy and reliability of travel time data. A joint project with funding from WSDOT, U.S. Federal Highway Administration, and Transport Canada will improve Whatcom Council of Governments' Border Data Warehouse. We use the warehouse to predict future heavy travel periods. The improvements will help ensure that archived wait time information is accurate and accessible. Nexus is a trusted traveler program jointly administered by U.S. and Canadian inspection agencies. Nexus allows frequent, low-risk travelers to bypass often lengthy general-purpose lanes at the border crossings, speeding the inspection process and reducing idling time for everyone. A recent report found that Nexus currently represents 27% of border traffic flow at crossings where the program is available. Based on the success of previous marketing efforts, we anticipate that a renewed effort to reach high-frequency, low-risk cross-border travelers could help us achieve our regional goal of 45%. FAST is a binational security and freight mobility strategy that streamlines inspection for pre-approved shippers and carriers. BC and Washington have invested significantly to support the FAST program with improved highway infrastructure. Unfortunately, the FAST program has not been a good fit for businesses moving freight in the Cascade Gateway, because our market is different than in other border regions. The FAST program was created to support an integrated manufacturing process, like the auto industry in the Midwest, where common commodities which are destined for continued manufacturing are shipped back and forth across the border. In the Cascade Gateway, trucks have unrelated products, multiple shippers, and often less than a full load of goods, so there is little incentive for shippers to enroll in FAST. As few as 2% of northbound and 23% of southbound trucks are FAST, and over half of the trucks using FAST in either direction are empty. How can we improve the efficiency of the dedicated FAST lanes to get the most out of our highway investments? In the short term, WSDOT and BCMOT will encourage the Canadian Inspection Agency to mirror the U.S. Inspection Agency's strategy of allowing non-FAST trucks through the dedicated lane when delay reaches 45 minutes. In the longer term, the working group will evaluate infrastructure investments and operational strategies that use dedicated FAST lanes more efficiently. Balancing demand among the Cascade Gateway points of entry is another strategy that can help reduce border delay and minimize emissions. ADAS improvements described earlier are part of the strategy to improve border circulation. Improvements to the east-west routes are also needed. British Columbia has identified the east-west routes that will connect crossings on the Canadian side of the border and is working to upgrade those roadways. Washington has made major improvements, but a gap for east-west movement remains between Interstate 5 and SR 539. The border circulation analysis will address this gap and complete the ADAS prioritized plan. We've discussed several Executive Council action items that will reduce delay and help reduce emissions. By reducing border delay, we can reduce greenhouse gases that add to the carbon footprint. BC has already installed a southbound anti-idling system at the Peace Arch crossing. Other actions can be taken to green the border and include additional BC signage at the southbound Peace Arch Douglas crossing in fall of 2010, and Washington installing anti-idle signage. The goal of the Executive Council is to minimize delay at the border crossings. The strategies discussed here include immediate and longer-term actions that will help transportation and border inspection agencies operate the Cascade Gateway more efficiently, thereby saving time and reducing emissions.